Hi everybody, this is Bonnie Barker with Bonnie Bay Crochet, and today I want to show you how to start the Navigator Lapghan. Now as you can see, I don't have one to show you just yet, but I do have a panel that I'll show you in just a minute. This is the beginning of a 3-week crochet along that I am joining forces with Tiffany Hansen at Crochet with Tiffany. I'll have her information in the video description below. And we are joining together to make a paneled lapghan. Now this project is dedicated to United States veterans. And it's a way of just say thank you for your service, and you just come to mind when we came up with this idea. And we wanted to make this a throw that can be gifted to either men or women. So we kind of left a lot of the frills and thrills and lacy things out of it, and wanted to be kind of a gender neutral project so that it could bless whomever you would like to bless. Now, if you want to look for the yarn requirements for this, please check the video description below for the total yardage needed and what we will be using for our throw. But that said, let me just start off by saying you can use yarn from your stash and any colors you wish. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you the reveal of the first panel. This is Arrow panel. This is number 1, the first panel. Now, if you go over to Tiffany's channel, she will show you a second panel, and I'm going to let her do that reveal. But this is the Arrow panel, and in this video, I will show you how to make this panel. Well, let's go ahead and get started. I'll show you what I'm going to be using and how to begin. For this Arrow panel, we're going to be using these 2 colors. This is the lighter color blue and the champagne color. Let me go ahead and give you the numbers of these right now. This would be color SA74 and color 202. The number of skeins that you will need for this panel will be located right across the bottom of your screen. For this panel, I'm going to be using a size J or 10 or 6.00 millimeter crochet hook. Just take note that this is 1 size larger than the gauge hook that we will be using for the other panels. I'm also recommending that you have a pair of sharp scissors and a yarn needle handy. To begin, we are going to start with a slip knot and a starting chain of 134 chains. Now, people have asked me this before, and I'll be very clear. The slip knot does not count as a chain. We are only counting the chains that we can work in. For row number 1, we are going to skip the first chain and just working in the next chain. I'm just working along the side. I'm not working in the back bump. If you prefer to work in the back bump of the chain, feel free to do that. But it's easier for me if I work along the side. So we are just going to single crochet in each chain all the way across. At the end of this row, you should have a total of 133 single crochets. And if it curls a little bit after this first row, please don't worry about that, because the next 2 rows after this are going to take that out. As we crochet that last stitch, this was stitch number 133, we're going to change the color before completing it just by pulling the second color or the off-white color through. And we are going to chain 3. Of course, the chain 3 will be the beginning of row number 2. Okay, you can choose to tie these strings together, or you can just do a slip knot if you just want to work these in later, but we will be dealing with that in a bit. So let me go ahead and trim. Well, let's go ahead and deal with it now. I'm going to trim the blue color, and what you can do is to do a gentle slip knot by making a loop and then pushing it through the loop. And just like that, it's in a slip knot so that you can easily undo these and hide them into your work once we complete this panel. Okay, so for row 2, again, we have started with a chain 3. We're going to prepare our hook for a treble crochet. We're going to skip the first 3, 1, 2, 3, and yes, we are going to work in that very first stitch, just to be clear. So we skip 1, 2, 3 stitches, and in the next, working through both loops, we're going to work a treble crochet. Now, working behind the stitch just worked, we can pull this down, and we're going to work 1 double crochet in each of those stitches that we just skipped. And this is what we're going to do all the way across the row. You should have a total of 33 of this 4 stitch grouping, which is going to be half of the arrow. So let's do this again. We prepare our hook for a treble, skip the next 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3. In the next stitch, we work a treble crochet. And again, working behind that treble, we work double crochets. Now keep note that this is a double crochet, not a treble. We work 1 in each of those 3 stitches that we just skipped. I know there may be a lot of folks who've not seen this stitch before, so let me do this one more time. We prepare for a treble, skip the next 3 stitches, treble crochet in the next stitch. Working behind that treble, we're going to double crochet in each of those 3 stitches that we just skipped. And so let's pause, and this is what it should look like. This is the front side facing, and from the back side it looks like that, in case you're curious. All right, so go ahead and work this all the way across, and I'll show you how the row ends. At the end of row 2, we're going to work a double crochet into that last single crochet. So again, the stitch count should remain the same. You should have 133 stitches. You should have 33 beginnings of the arrow stitch, and this is not including the turning chain at the beginning. So for the next row, this is going to be row number 3 or row number 2 of the arrow stitch. We're going to chain 3. We're going to skip the first stitch. And then we're also going to skip the next 3 stitches, and then we're going to treble crochet in to that next space. Now, working in front of that treble, we are going to work a double crochet into the last 3 stitches that we skipped. So we're going to work in front of the treble crochet, again skipping that very first stitch, and we're going to work double crochets in the next 3 stitches that were skipped. Just like that. So we'll go ahead and do this again. Since this is the repeat across, we skip the next 3 stitches, treble crochet in that next stitch, and just as a to be extra clear, that stitch that we're working the treble crochet in should be the treble crochet from the last row. Now, working in front of that stitch, we're going to double crochet into the 3 stitches that we skipped. So again, these are double crochets with these 3 stitches. Let me do this for you one more time. Skip 3 stitches. And I've prepared my hook for a treble crochet, and we treble crochet in that next stitch, which again should be the treble crochet from the last row. Working in front of that treble, we work double crochets in each of the 3 stitches that we just skipped. So this is what it should look like. The section facing you, which is actually the back side. And if you look at the front side, you should see arrows. If you don't see arrows like that, then you're doing something wrong. You might want to just try again, maybe back up the video just a little bit. All right, so go ahead and work that all the way across, and I will show you how to end the row. At the end of row 3, we're going to work a double crochet into the top of the turning chain. So this is what you should have after completing 3 rows. And let's take a look at the front side. Okay, so now I'm going to back something out here. So it's time for a color change again. So I'm going to back that last stitch out. All I have to do is wrap and complete it. And I am going to go back to our light blue color. Pull that through. Let's go ahead and deal with our yarn here. I'm going to clip a generous strand of the off-white, and I'm going to go ahead and tie these together with a slip knot. Now if you want to go ahead and knot these, that's fine, you can do that. I just am going to be hiding mine into my work instead once we get to that point. After joining the new yarn, we're ready to start row 4. We're going to start with a chain 3, and we're going to turn, and we're going to skip the first stitch, and working in the remaining stitches, we're going to work double crochets in each stitch across. And when we get to the end of the row, we are also going to work a double crochet in the turning chain, and I will show you that to you at the end of the row. At the end of row 4, we're going to work a double crochet in the top of that turning chain, just like that. And for the record, the stitch count should remain the constant number that we started with. Let's go ahead and turn, and this is for row number 5. We're going to chain 1, we're going to skip the first stitch, and we're going to single crochet in each stitch all the way across. At the end of row number 5, we are going to work in that last stitch as well as working a single crochet in the top of that turning chain. Now before we finish the stitch, it is time to switch back to the other color. I'm going to go ahead and get this. So go ahead and pull this other color through, and let's go ahead and deal with the strands here, and just again make a simple slip knot. All right, so now we're ready to turn, and now we are going to repeat rows 2, 3, 4, and 5 a few times. So look across the bottom of the screen and I'll show you how many times you need to repeat that. Let's go ahead and start with the chain 3, and just to get you started on this next row, skip the first stitch and the next 3 stitches. So you're skipping 4 at the very beginning, and then we start with our arrow stitch all over again with that treble, and then working behind the treble in the last 3 stitches, because remember we are skipping that first stitch. We work our double crochets. So go ahead and repeat those rows, making sure that you change colors at the appropriate time. I'm going to the end of the 4th set of the arrow stitches. I'm going to work that double crochet into the top of the turning chain. Now before I finish off the stitch, let's go back to the blue. So we're going to go ahead and draw that medium blue color back in, And we're going to deal with these strands. I'm going to go ahead and take the time to do this. And make a little slip knot so that we can hide these into our work in a bit. All right, so let's go ahead and turn. And let me show you what I have done. So I have repeated the arrow stitches. Okay, that was the first set, and then another set, a third set, and a fourth set, and we have repeated the double crochet and single crochet 2 times. Now this is the final pass with this. We are not going to work the double crochet, but we're only going to work a single crochet across. So let's go ahead and get that started with a chain 1, and just like we've been doing, we're going to skip that first stitch and we're going to work a single crochet in the next stitch and then each stitch across, and I will show you the end of this row. As we near the end of this row, we work a single crochet in the top of that treble and 1 in the turning chain. Okay, and then we are going to fasten off with a slip knot, and make sure that you trim a generous strand so that this will be easy for hiding in later on. So after completing this panel, you should still have 133 stitches, that's not including the turning chain, in each row. All right, so now we're going to get our trim color. Let me show you what this looks like right here. Okay, this is the darker blue, and for those of you who are using this particular brand, this is the color number SA68. Okay, this is the navy blue. So we're going to go ahead and I will show you how to start the perimeter round that works its way all the way around this panel. Now before we work in the darker color for that perimeter round, let's go ahead and take care of these strands. And let me go ahead and show you how we can do this. And I'm going to be doing this without tying knots at the end. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get our yarn needle. And what we're going to do is we're going to be very careful to hide the dark colors underneath the dark colored yarn. So I'm going to start right here onto the back side of the panel. Let me go ahead and show you. See, this is the front side. This is the back side. So I'm just going to run this underneath this strand, just like this, for the blue. And when you have the larger stitches, you can intertwine these a little bit better. But I think this is going to be fine since it's going to be under many, many stitches. And let's go ahead and trim that close, but not so close that you cut your other stitches. And always pull back a little bit on that so it hides it well. And also the lighter colored yarn under the lighter colored stitches. So let's go ahead and let's go ahead and let's intertwine it into the first stitch to begin. And I'm going to wrap it around the side. And don't worry, because we're going to be covering up some of this with our next row, which is actually going to be around because we're going to go around the entire piece. So you can see how the ends are woven in, and there is not a knot there. So you don't have to worry about having knots in your work. I'm going to come back the other direction with this piece, just like this, And I believe I'm pulling back on that. That should be good to go. And trim very carefully. Okay, so what I would recommend before doing this final round is go ahead and hide these loose strands, and then we will begin the round. But I'm going to go ahead and start this with you anyway, just to show you how to do this. We're going to start in the chain, which is right here, and I have the darker colored yarn. I'm going to make my slip knot, pull that nice and tight, there we go. And I pull that under and give it a chain, and then starting in that first single crochet, we're going to single crochet in each stitch across. Do be sure that you have the front side of the fabric facing, because I believe that's just the better look when you're trimming with the single crochet. Okay, so like the back side would look like this, and the front side would look like this. Okay, there's one other thing I forgot to mention. I switched from my J hook that I use, which is actually the larger hook, and I went back down to the regular hook that we're going to be using for the rest of a lot of these panels. Went back to the I or 9 or 5.50 millimeter crochet hook. This is just to help this panel to fit better with the other panels that we'll be crocheting for this project. So go ahead and work that. Again, don't forget, go one down on this size from the hook we were using. Just wanted to give you a quick view of what this looks like after hiding all the strands. Just to show you that it can be done, no knots, and all those loose strands are hidden. After working all the way across, we're going to go ahead and work our last stitch in that last single crochet. Now we're going to turn for the corner. I'm going to chain 2. I'm going to work another single crochet in the same stitch as the last, so that we have a nice 90-degree turn. And now we're going to work evenly across the row ends. So after working that corner stitch, let's go ahead and we're going to start working in the row ends. As we work over the arrow row end, I'm going to work 2 double crochets in that stitch, and then I'm going to skip this little open hole section here, and I'm going to work 2 double crochets in the next row end. 1 in the next, which was that single crochet row, and then 2 over this double crochet row, and I'm going to repeat that across. 2 over the arrow row end, and then again working in the large space here. Let me just break this down a little bit. You have a double crochet here. You can put one here, but I think it's going to look more even if we just work the 2 stitches together right over it, just like that. 1 in the single crochet row end, 2 in that double crochet, and again the next arrow stitch, 2 over that next turning chain, and then 2 over that double crochet, 1 in the single crochet row end, and then 2 over the double crochet row end, 2 in the arrow row end, and then 2 more over that next stitch, and that brings us to the foundation row. So let's go ahead and work 1 single crochet there, chain 2, work 1 more single crochet in that same place as the last stitch for that 90-degree corner. And so now we're going to work across the remaining foundation chain. So we're just going to work 1 single crochet in each of those chains all the way across, and see, you can see now that we are covering up the remaining 2 strands of that original turning chain. So go ahead and work this all the way across. Let me give you a stitch count. So across the row ends, and that's including the stitch in each of these corners, you should have a total of 27 single crochets. After working that across the foundation chain, we're going to turn 90 degrees again, chain 2, and work a single crochet in the same place as the last stitch. And now we're going to work in the arrow row again with 2 single crochets, and then 2 single crochets over that next row end, just like we did on the other end. It's just going to present itself differently because we have, for example, with the blue section, we have 2 stitches over the double crochet row and then 1 in the single crochet row. Okay, so go ahead and work this to the corner. And again, just like on the other side, you should have a total of 27 stitches from the corner stitch here to the corner stitch on the other side. At the end of the row, we're going to work the last stitch where that turning chain was, where we first joined, and then we're going to chain 2 and then join with a slip stitch to the top of that first single crochet. And I'm going to give it a chain and a tug, and we're going to go ahead again and clip a generous strand so that it will be easy to hide inside our work. So go ahead and hide those last 2 remaining strands on this panel. So let's go ahead and take a look. Let's go ahead and take a look at the completed panel and at the corners. Well, I hope you enjoyed this arrow panel with me today. If you did, please comment below. Now, if you're looking for the second panel, check the video description below, and I will have the link to Tiffany's site where she will show you how to crochet her panel for this week. And don't forget, next week, we're going to be releasing an additional panel here as well as on Tiffany's channel so that we can complete this. And then the third week, we are going to be releasing a video on how to connect the panels as well as the final trim rounds. Well, God bless. Bye-bye.